1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hope the mic is working. Hope the comments are working. You never know. It's always like a hiccup when it comes to doing lives and whatnot. So, uh, let's see. New place, new setup. I don't know how this is gonna work out. I don't know if anybody's actually gonna log in on this one because it's a nightcap, man. It's really late for everybody. It's the middle of the week. What? I'm having a cigar, and I didn't want to have a cigar alone. I wanted to actually chop it up with some people. I don't know how this is gonna go though. We got one person in here, so maybe it's not bad. Maybe people will join in, and we got one like with that too. Shouts out to whoever joined in, whoever hit that like button. Uh, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome for the first time at the new crib, uh, new location, new year, new me. Right? That's how you do it, right? New year, new me. But it's good. I'm actually glad to be back in this space. It's kind of a rebuild. It's a restart, retooling, getting everything back together. New approach to cigars. You see it's cold out here. It gets like you see all the frost coming out. John, what up, man? How you doing? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if the quality is cool. Um, it's kind of an interesting space where I'm in right now. I got a new outlook on cigars. I just got a new outlook on life, on just taking care of my health, taking care of the family, just kind of taking care of association. Shouts out to whoever hit that like button again, man. Appreciate y'all. So I've been kind of thinking over like I didn't even come in here with anything to talk about, but I've been kind of thinking over some things. I just did a podcast recently with the Big Guilty podcast. I don't know if y'all checked it out. All is cool. Thank you. The audio's been kind of weird lately. Um, I just did Big Guilty's podcast, so I'm gonna give a shout out to Innocent and Big Guilty, and I want to thank him for having me on the show. It was a real good conversation, and it was really cool to be back in the podcast space. And I don't know if you guys have been following anybody that's been watching. You know, I've been talking about doing a podcast, and I really think the cigar culture right now, the cigar community needs a really good podcast. And Innocent is doing a great job. It's great conversation. It's kind of like the Joe Rogan style, where it's just you and Innocent, and you just kind of go back and you just kind of shoot the shit, talk about the stuff that's coming up. I don't want my show to be that, but I love having him in that space. It's just a really good, genuine dude with connections in the industry, with just a really good personality and a love for a lot of things, especially cigars, but not just cigars. You feel me? And that kind of like I think we need that because we get so many people just caught up in the industrial side of it and the financial side of it. And don't get me wrong, all of that matters. And all of that is absolutely important to have. It's important to be able to make a living and put food on the table and support your goals and your ideas. That's a really important thing. But we always talk about being brothers and sisters of the leaf too. So that community aspect of it is what's really important, man. That is nothing better than sitting, um, in your local lounge or like in your man cave or wherever you're smoking and you got somebody that you really respect and that you adore in the original sense where you really have adoration and you appreciate someone so much when you can really sit back and have a good conversation with them. So that was wholesome, man. It was a beautiful space, and I like his show. I like watching Hound Dog on the show. I like the show he did with Roger, the show he did with Felipe, and these are all good people. These are all people that I respect as far as like how they are pushing the cigar culture and how they're pushing the community along. People sharing bombs and people doing unboxings and having conversations and the whole nine. So it's love, man. It's all love. So I really enjoyed that. But the other thing is just having a space to really feel like you as an individual can appreciate the cigars that you're smoking. And I think that's kind of where I kind of want to go with this. It's something I've been thinking about lately. Like, I I took the time off this, to say like I'm not doing the reviews anymore, and I left that to all these new people who are doing reviews right now. And like, it's really it's almost like a second wave, another new wave, another boom for cigar reviewers and cigar personalities, and different styles and people putting all of their imprint on just the whole YouTube community, Rumble or wherever people are doing things, and you want to be able to get into a space and you can have your own niche and you can have your own vibe. But sometimes you get caught up in who's sending you cigars and what review you're gonna do next, and writing your show and doing all that. And I'm gonna do that with the podcast. But I've liked just being able to come out into my new space and just smoke. Right now I have the Anniversario by 1502, and I've been holding on to this cigar for a long time. I was holding on to this because I was so dead set on like doing the review on it and how I was gonna review it. Yeah, can't be mad at that. What up, Michael? Was up in here, yo? Yeah, the 1502 Anniversario, man. I've been waiting to try this for quite some time. I've been waiting to kind of get that vibe and to see what this cigar was about. And I was talking to Matt earlier, man. And I don't know if you were in the group chat, Michael, but I was talking just in general about the cigars that I really enjoyed, so far. And Sandra's Cameroon has really just, it made me happy to enjoy that cigar. And that's kind of a cool thing where it's like you're sitting back and you're not worried about the review. You're not worried. Yeah, awesome burn. Like it's burning beautifully. The smoke it's been beautiful on this cigar. The flavor profile is nutty, and there's like a interesting kind of like roasted tea and like a honey profile, it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit of spice in it, but it's a nice cigar to have, and that's what this whole thing is about. I've been enjoying the Cameroon. Like if you guys haven't gotten Sanj Patel's Cameroon right now, like for real, we go back and forth talking about like being in that man's pocket and the whole nine. That man ain't paid me a damn thing, but when I tell you that's one of the best cigars for the price that's on the market right now, it's really the best. Um, Principles, Black Gold, you guys know I've been talking about that. Like I've really been enjoying that cigar. And the Don Durma from Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Like right now, I just did that whole, all-time list. And cigars are so subjective, and your palate moves and shifts so much, and your favorites move and shift so much. It was very difficult for me to like put that review out. But I wanted to close out the reviews on the channel in a really positive way. I really wanted to do something that was different. I really wanted to go above and beyond, and just say like, okay, let's close this out in this way. But right now, most of those cigars are kind of like in a bubble. But when you're smoking like what's available to you right now, and you're just trying to find your palate and find your comfort zone, right now, man, that Cameroon, that Black Gold, the Don Durma, the Papa Saka or the Saka Khan, like they've really been hitting the spot for me. And I think that's a really cool thing. You got to be able to find your pocket. Thank y'all for whoever hit that like button. I think it's a very important thing to do, to find your pocket in your comfort zone. Like what makes you happy and getting that peace of mind when you're enjoying your cigars. And I don't want people to lose sight of that. I don't want people to feel like, they're doing everything for the clicks and doing everything for the likes or doing everything just for the business side of it. You got to be able to find like, okay, where's my favorite place to go to enjoy a cigar? Right? Who do I enjoy having these cigars with? And what do I like doing when I'm smoking my cigars? Do I want to sit back with a good book? Do I want to edit my videos while I'm smoking a good cigar? Do I just want to pair it with a really good drink? Do I want to sit by myself? Do I want to find a space that is, just away from everybody? Like, where is it? Where's your comfort zone? And that's the movement that I'm on right now. And I'm gonna get to these, you know, the comments that are going here, and then I'm gonna further expound on that. John said, "You're not lying. Have a 5 pack of all flavors, great cigars. The value is crazy." And that, you got to be talking about, you know, Sandra's RS88 and the SB 1014s for sure, for sure. And I'm saying that like that those cigars are not going to be for everybody, but I really have found a comfort zone in that. I think out of all of them, the Habano is my least favorite, but man, it's just when I really think about it, just like all in all, I've had some construction issues, but that's like neither here nor there because one, I'm not paying $40 for that cigar. I'm not paying $20 for that cigar. You know, paying $7 to $11 for that cigar, and to have when that cigar hits, it hits from the Lancero to the SB 1014 to the black, and it's just like it's a good space. You know, so I'm really digging that. My man Pan is up in here. He said, "What's up, brother? Just stopping by to say hi, man. Hey, man, enjoy whatever you're doing right now, too, man. Hope all is good with you." The Maduro is my favorite, and you know what, Spencer? I got like a ton of Maduros down there, and I really appreciate that Maduro. It's good, but I haven't been smoking it as much lately, and I was thinking, this thing tastes like Cocoa Puffs. Sorry, just that just hit me. I was like, I was trying to place what that flavor is. When you get a dry box of the Cocoa Puffs, that's what this tastes like. That's amazing. Damn. Okay, back to the Maduro. So the thing is like I wanted to come up here to my new spot. This is my new spot. I don't know if the sun is gonna let you guys see this, but this is my new deck, and that's the new view. I know the sun is right there, so I don't know how well you guys can see that. So I was gonna take the Maduro and just come up here and enjoy that. So if I get in the mood, I might go downstairs and just grab another one and see how that's working. So we'll see how that works out. If you know, you know. What up, man? You know what's crazy, man? I didn't think I was gonna see so many familiar people in here because I knew I was doing this at an odd hour. I knew I was doing this late at night, and I was trying to see. I was like, let's see who the people are gonna be that come in for the nightcap. And thank y'all for the support, man. Thank everybody that hit the like button right there. I'm gonna do it like this now. They hit the like button, and thank y'all for coming in, man. I appreciate it. So we're gonna see how that goes. If you guys have not had yet the 1502 anniversario, you guys know like the Sapphire is probably like my favorite out of the 1502. The 1502 XO was really good, but this thing, man, this thing tastes like Cocoa Puffs with some spice to it, man. It's really nice. The nuttiness is still there too, though, to give it some balance to the profile. But that's a beautiful cigar. Saying that to say, so I was talking about like kind of finding your space right now, and I'm in this evolution for myself, where my cigar journey I didn't want it to be solely about making money for other people. I didn't want it to be solely focused on doing reviews, and I really wanted to keep this hobby and this community in a personal space. But I also, man, what really hit me was like when I left that view that I had before, when I left Fuji, when I left Zushi, and when I left that kind of space, I was like, how can I recreate that moment? And how can I recreate that essence of being in a spot where it's like, this is my happy place? You know what I mean? Like, adulting is hard, man. Building your own brand, building your own identity, taking care of your kids, making sure you're getting a raise at work, making sure all your paperwork is there, doing taxes, just taking care of the car, making sure the wife is happy, making sure your mom is good, making sure your family's good. Like adulting is hard. It's like tough. Losing family members, losing friends, whatever the case may be, like all this, it's like it's hard. And people can talk all they want to about the risk of cigars and the risk of smoking and things like that. But I really find a solace in this. And being able to find a peace of mind Not just in that, but just being able to find a special place that I can go and find a place where I can kick back and just take a load off. It's not too many things that are much more valuable than that. And in this process of moving into this new place, and this whole thing has been a rebuilding process, just rebuilding like how we do our day-to-day lives. We literally had to pick up for a place that we had called home for 4 years, and then we got to start it anew. And my family is pretty much nomadic. Like we are moving around so much, and we're not. I can only imagine for like actually being military instead of being associated with the military, like what that is like. You dig? So when you just like, okay, now we gotta redo the kitchen, we gotta redo the living room, we gotta buy new furniture, we gotta get rid of old furniture, you gotta um, set up the house. Like, how do you want to do the yard? What do you want to hang? Where are you gonna put the pictures? Like, you're constantly rebuilding everything. So when you're living in a space like that, when you're constantly rebuilding and redoing and retooling, you also want to be like, what's my spot? Where can I go where nothing is gonna change? Where I can just sit back and appreciate everything that's positive in my life right now. Family's good. My cigar friends are good. The cigar community that I built is good. And, you know, the places that I'm finding to go out to eat is good, you know. And like I also want the cigars that I'm smoking to be good. So the processing, like, okay, you don't want to go into your humidor and then you're looking at the cigars and you're like, I don't want this today. I don't want to do that today. Like, this is not living up to the standards. This is not hitting the spot that I wanted to hit. The goal is to actually curate your humidor or your humidors or whatever you got to have the stuff that you really truly and honestly enjoy. And that's been what I didn't realize is that those top 10 lists that I was doing, those buyers guides that I was doing, and not just the reviews, was actually a way for me to like curate for myself. So I really truly understand my palate. I really truly understand what profiles I'm looking for. Like, I know the amount of earth that I want in my cigars. I know the amount of sweetness that I want to go in my cigars. And I can pinpoint and figure out what mood I'm in to be able to go through and say, okay, I know exactly what cigar I want today. I know exactly what vibe I'm in right now. I know what music I want to listen to. I know what I want to talk about when I come on. I know who I want to talk to, and I know the type of cigar that I want. I know the vitolas that I want, and being able to understand that and understand the variety that I need as well is important. Let's see what John just said. John said, totally agree with you. People don't know how relaxing it is to smoke a cigar. And dude, it's really, it really is a great thing. Like, I think some people kind of confuse, like, you know, what an addiction is and all that. Like, I went for I don't know how long without having cigars just because I was so busy and it's been cold. Look at me right now. It's been cold. It just snowed the other day. I was gonna do it snowed the other day here, and I was gonna do a review out here, and I just decided not to post it yet. I might put a short up in a little bit. It's not really a review. It's just a short, but it was really one of those things where that moment where I actually took the time out to just okay, I'm gonna sit out here and I'm gonna have the cigar that I want, and I pulled out what's my man Rodriguez, West Tampa, um, Rick Rodriguez. And I pulled out the West Tampa attic, and I sat over here in this corner, and and I just enjoyed the cigar. It's probably a B level cigar, and the attic kind of gives you these leathery notes. It gives you some really woody notes. It gives you a little bit of pepper, and it was a dry cigar. It was dry on the profile, but it burned beautifully. But just having that moment and just to finally be able to get back to the point where it was like, yo, I'm relaxing and I'm enjoying this cigar. That was a good space. And it was really just a cool thing. And like, this is the first time that I had a cigar while I was here, where I wasn't doing a show, where I wasn't, doing anything like that. Where it was just me and the cigar. And the kids were in the crib, and they're doing their homework, and they were getting ready because it was a school day. They were getting ready for the next day. They were getting their clothes ready and all that kind of stuff. And I set them up for success. And then I just was able to come here to my little spot and just kick back. I ain't had to think about nothing else. I ain't had to stress nothing else. It was just me in that moment. And that was a cool thing. Spencer said, finding some zen can be tough. Highs and lows will always happen, and a cigar can be the medium or escape for a moment. And that's exactly what it was all about. And that's exactly what it felt like, dude. And to be able to have a vice like that doesn't change your mental state. You don't have to worry about getting drunk. You don't have to worry about getting too high. You don't have to worry about, you know, getting into a space where it's like, oh, I can't travel, I can't leave. The most you got to worry about is like, yo, I got to wash up and brush my teeth before I go out now. And the rest of it is like, okay, I just enjoyed a great cigar. I sat out here for an hour, hour and a half, and I got that little space and time to really just chillax and enjoy. And I was able to collect my thoughts and just think about a cigar that I was enjoying, or not think and just be in the moment and just blow out some cool smoke. That's just that's it, man. And I think people need to get back to that. Like, when if you guys seen the recent lives that I was doing, not lives but shorts that I was doing, I was trying to promote that, just being able to just kick back and be one with your cigar. You feel me? Michael said, oh, master your ash. I want people to really like get to know his channel. And he's kicking ass right now. Master your ash. Michael, you're doing some great shit on your channel right there, dude. It's beautiful to see your growth, and it's beautiful to see the support that you're getting, and just your show just finding that pocket, man. It's really cool to see that. He said, I grabbed a five of the West Tampa Addicts to try after you mentioned it yesterday. Cool. I want to know what you think about it, man. And I know you got a stream of things that you got going, and you got a stream of reviews. I know I sent you some cigars. I think Roger sent you a bunch, and probably Matt and Peter and some other ton of people probably sent you a bunch of shit. I know you got a lot of shit on your palate, and a lot of shit on your plate. But when you get a moment, man, I really want to hear your feedback on that cigar, because to me it was different than what I expected. And knowing Rick Rodriguez, and has had such a great run, but I think it's kind of cool that he's kind of set out on his own thing. So I grabbed the Addict for that reason, because I wanted to see what he was doing, and especially reading up on that cigar. And the whole thing was like, the concept behind the Addict. I got this from Half Wheel, by the way, so I hope it's on the up and up. I'm citing my sources. But saying that to say that I got that, from him, that what Rick Rodriguez was doing in this particular case is that he wanted people to see what he was blending, behind the scenes. So that cigar is a limited edition. And he wanted people to kind of see like the stuff that he's been working on and where his palette was going, and kind of tell a story with those cigars. So I'm excited to see what that series is. And now that I started out with that one, this is my time to go back to the West Tampas that he did, the red, the white, and the black. And I think I have the white and the black downstairs. I think those are the ones I have, and I think I need to buy the red. But this is gonna give me a space where I'm not doing it for a review. I'm just doing it for myself. I want to see, what he's doing with his cigar brand, because it's always interesting to me when you have somebody like Saka and you had somebody like Nick Melillo that step out on their own, and it's like, okay, this is time for us to really, get out and appreciate what we can do in the cigar industry. And not even just with that. When I was a butcher, you know, I was working under somebody else's shop, and and in a way, I was my own boss because they let me do my thing on my side of the shop. You know, the chef was over here and I was on my side, and they let me plan out everything. They let me focus on it. And when you have a craft, you you work at your way of doing things. You find your own method. You find your own way of cutting. You find your own style. You find your own way of painting. You find your own way of whatever it is that you create. You find your own way of doing it. You find your own way to do your reviews. You find like you find your niche. But when you're working under somebody else, usually there's a limit to how you can do that. It's cool when people step off on their own and say, okay, now it's time for me to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this and how people can appreciate my art style and my craftsmanship and my creativity when I go out on my own. So that whole time that I was a butcher, that's what, like I had this mindset like I want to be able to get out and see what happens when I do it for myself. And I still haven't stopped that. But it's the same thing with doing the vintage cigar. I want to let me do this my way, so it's not about making other people money. So it's going to be about how I feel about it. When I do 80s remote, it's going to be this is my YouTube channel in my own space. Let's figure out how this is going to work. There were some more comments. Let me see. You caught that, Cite Your Sources. That's funny. Let's see. Appreciate you always, man. Gotta spark up that Bentley this weekend. And yeah, man, like when I sent the Bentley, it sending out bombs for me is difficult. Especially for people with seasoned palates. And the reason why it's hard for me because I'm always overthinking. And I always want to send out something that I feel like somebody's gonna appreciate. And somebody like yourself that has a ton of cigars, that has a ton of connections, and that has such a developed palate, that I want to send something that's new and different. And I want to send something out that's like, okay, I would at least want to try something that maybe you haven't had before, even if it's just one cigar in this whole bomb. I want to do something that's different, um, and I want to do something that's challenging. And I don't feel like you would have gotten that cigar anywhere else because I hadn't seen it anywhere in the States. So I'm hoping that cigar is going to be something worthwhile. If it's not, then cool, so be it. But that was my way of saying like thank you, brother. And it was also my way of saying like I want to try something that's outside of the box. So let me know, how that goes, man. And each time I send out a box, man, I overthinking. I'm nervous. I'm like pacing, like, man, I hope they appreciate this bomb. John said you love the red for the West Tampas. I currently have that cigar in my Neptunes to buy like my grocery basket. What do you call that? The cart. I have that currently in the cart, just because I got the other cigars, and I never smoked any of the West Tampas because I was so dead set on getting the show out, and I wanted to do a buyer's guide where I did a comparison between the two cigars and I actually graded them and do the whole nine. But you know what really happened in that process is like trying to maintain the channel and trying to get everything done that I need to get done and moving and all that kind of stuff. It just I never got around to it. So I got this whole bag full of cigars that I got. I got the LFD, Lennox, and the Solus, the two West Tampas, the two Don Durmas, and dude, I got a couple from Aganorsa that I was gonna do a buyer's guide and compare all these cigars, and like the vision was there for it, but I didn't have the time because when I was, doing that show, I had to smoke two cigars, 2 different days, because it's rare that I was smoking like the two cigars back to back unless I was doing a live, and then I had to edit the show and take all of my notes and then get all my notes together and come back and really tell you guys exactly what I thought about the cigars and it just I just didn't have the time to do it. And I missed out on smoking some really good cigars. Like I've had those cigars for easily a year now. They've been aging for at least a year. At least. And I never got around to it. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm not enjoying these cigars. And I'm like, this that's not really working for me, man. I really want to take the time to really appreciate these. I don't have a timetable. I don't have to worry about, meeting a deadline or anything like that. I just want to be able to enjoy it and say, do I really love this? the downside is I kind of, I guess these lives is gonna be where I kind of come and just let you guys know what I thought about something. You know what I mean? So, the, saying that to say those cigars aren't gonna be sitting there and just waiting for much longer. I'm gonna be able to, edify myself. I'm gonna be able to educate myself on, how I feel about those cigars, and who knows? They may be able to get to the point where I can speak about them the way I've been speaking about the Don Durma or the RS-88 Cameroon. And you know what's really funny about that? Like that whole thing about the buyer's guide and doing the buyer's guide comparison was really fun for me. It's almost like doing scientific experiments. And it's like a way for me to go and really get into this diligent mindset where I break down these cigars and I compare notes, because you got to be able to test your own palate, and you got to be able to test the blenders. Like, are you really making cigars that are completely different from another cigar that's out there? Or does your portfolio taste the same? Like, do all of your cigars taste just alike? All right, Michael, thanks for joining in, man. I know it's a late night. Thanks for joining in, brother. I really appreciate you. So, it's one of those things where I recently I had that whole RS-88 line back to back. The Maduro, the Habano, the Connecticut, and the Cameroon. Not necessarily like same day back to back, but just in a time where I've taken the time just to sit back and enjoy cigars. And what frustrated me about Sanj, and I talked to Sanj and Innocent about this. It's like, I really wish he would like separate those cigars with a band. Oh man, just, I don't care. Just put like a one color, yellow on this one, green on that one, red on this one, white on whatever. Just one simple band, just so like when I go into my humidor, I'm not grabbing the wrong cigar. Especially with the Habano and the Cameroon, they look so freaking similar. They look so much alike. So when those cigars got sent to me, they were just kind of thrown in the bag. The Maduros were labeled, and the Habanos were labeled. But some of the Cameroons and some of the Habanos, whether it was the just the regular industry killer or whether it was RS-88, were just kind of thrown in the bag. And I'm holding them up, and I couldn't tell which is which. So I did a review the other day, thinking that I had the Cameroon, and I was like, God, man, this Cameroon is way spicier than it was the last time I had it, man. And Sanj was telling me, man, this thing should taste like sugar cane. And I'm like, this don't taste like no sugar cane, man. This tastes like a Habano. But I was like, nah. It was in the spot where the Cameroons are supposed to be. So then the other day, I went and grabbed the Cameroon, and I was like, this one got to be my Cameroon. And I lit it up, and the first draw on that was sugar cane. And I was like, oh, okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. When you can identify what cigar you have just off the flavor profile, unbanded or not. And speaking of unbanded, shout out to the fellas doing the Cigar Unbanded live right now with Felipe, Roger, and Peter. You guys are doing a really good show, man. And that was a cool idea to do the whole unbanded thing and share unbanded cigars. Again, you got to test your palate. So that was kind of a cool thing for me, that it's like, okay, I'm not crazy with what I'm tasting. I know that I can trust my palate enough that I can identify one of these cigars from the other. But at the same time, I don't like to play the guessing game either. Being able to compare those West Tampas, the black to the red, or the SP 1014 black to the red, or getting the Olmec, and when you have the Maduro versus the Claro, and being able to say, oh, I can literally tell the difference between those cigars. I like being able to prove that integrity within, for the blenders and the companies, and I like to be able to prove that integrity for my own palate. Because I'm not gonna pinpoint anybody specifically, But I know there's some brands that are out there that are just buying, whatever cigar, and they're slapping whatever band on that, and the cigars don't taste like they market them, or they don't taste like other people are reviewing them, or they don't taste like what they're labeled as, whether it's going to be, San Andres, or whether it's going to be Corojo, or whether it's going to be whatever the case may be, and there's no consistency. And it's just like, okay, if that's how you're running your business, like, what are you doing? Like, there should be cigars, I know we're rolling up leaves, and I know we're smoking leaves, but you should be able to identify your Mexican San Andres from your Sumatra, from your Connecticut broadleaf, and your just standard Maduro from your Oscuros and all that. Like, you should be able to really be able to identify that. The same way you should be able to, for the most part, know whether you have something that's going to be from Ometepe, or to be able to identify, like a Firewalker from a Connecticut. Like, they should be worlds apart. And you shouldn't have the same experience from one cigar to the next. And I think that's a really important thing, to be able to differentiate what you're feeling. So when you're filling up your humidor and you're being able to identify like what you like to smoke, you should be able to say like, okay, right now I'm in a Maduro mood, and I can go to LFD and get a really nice Maduro, and I know that it's gonna taste like what it's presented to be. Or you like, yo, I want a really good broadleaf right now. I can go over to Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, and I know I can get a really good broadleaf. Or same thing with Foundation. And I like being able to trust my own palate, to be able to trust my own humidor, and to be able to trust these people who are selling me these cigars. I like having that kind of confidence just in my humidor. I like just being able to have that, to say, okay, this is all reliable right here. I know when I go into my humidor and I go into my section that's all for crown heads, and I pull out a Le Carême, I know what I'm getting every time when I get that cigar. And I know it's like, okay, if this is what I'm in the mood for right now, I know I can pick this cigar up, and it's going to be all reliable. If I want to get a La Imperiosa, okay, I know when I get this cigar, I know what I'm going to get. Instead of, like, sometimes you get a cigar and it's like, I'm in the mood for a Connecticut right now. And then when you light up that Connecticut and it's bland, or it only tastes like hay, and you're just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, give me something. Give me something that I can actually sit back and enjoy this Connecticut. So now I know if I want to go get a Warhawk, I know I'm going to enjoy that Connecticut. Right? And I know you guys must have, like, you probably have your own go-to cigars that you know exactly what you're gonna get each time, and you probably have those same cigars where you're just like, I don't trust this brand, I don't trust this company, and I don't trust what they're providing, because you've smoked enough cigars and you've sat with yourself long enough to understand what you really like, and you studied, these factories. You know what's really good about, like, chopping up with somebody like this actual cigar nerd, like Matt from Cigar Hound Dog, is because I love talking to that dude, because he really does his research. Like, he's one of those guys that will sit back and he's gonna go through Half Wheel, he's gonna go through Cigar Coop, he's gonna go to Cigar Dojo, and he's gonna really sit back and do his research on that. That dude knows a lot of the Tabacaleras by heart, and I need to be better at that myself. And that's one thing that I was doing when I really originally started with the I Want the Smoke series. That's when I was doing that long form podcast style, where I would really talk about the cigar brands and where the cigars came from and the wrapper buying the filler and really get into, the history and the story behind the cigars. And I stopped really doing that because just from the time frame of it. But I need to get back into doing that for myself, just kind of in general. So when I'm just sitting up here, just kind of read through. And now when I'm smoking a cigar, I can just kind of read through and appreciate where the cigar is coming from, who's rolling it. Is it going to be Eladio Diaz? Is it going to be E.P. Carrillo? Is it going to be Rick Rodriguez? Is it going to be, like Eric, Espinoza? Or is it going to be AJ Fernandez? And are they collaborating with, and you can kind of go down the line and you can kind of find out where your pocket is. You can kind of like, okay, Eladio Diaz, like, I know he's a master blender. But I don't love everything that he does. But some of his collaborations are like, okay, that is money. You know, Eric Espinoza, like honestly, when I sit back and think about it, I really appreciate a lot of his blends from the bottom to the top. When it comes to like, AP Carrillo, for me, he's either gonna be like way up here or it's gonna be something that I don't really rock with like that. And it's not much that's in between. And it's kind of funny when it came to the uh, the trilogy that he had, the La Historia, the Encore, and the Pledge. Like I know what I'm getting out of those cigars, and I was expecting the same thing from the Allegiance, but for me, the Allegiance didn't fit with that portfolio. And now I got to try it again. I was going through, and when I moved into this place, I was setting up my office, and I'm setting up the room where I got my cigars and where I'm going to be recording my shows and doing all that kind of stuff. I'm going through all the cigars that I'm going to be giving away, and because part of what I was talking about here, I'm curating my cigars to what I like to smoke, and I'm also trying to share some of the things that I like to smoke, and I'm also trying to offload a lot of the stuff. I don't need like, I probably had, and I didn't even realize I probably had like 300 cigars. I went from having just 40 cigars on me at a time to probably having close to like 300 cigars, and I'm like, I don't need that many. I'm not doing the reviews anymore. I don't have time to really kick back and smoke it. I just want to smoke what I like. So when I pulled out the bag, I pulled out the bag of where, if you guys saw my humidor tour, I'd really like to organize my cigars. So I pulled out my EP Carrillo bag, and I saw my whole, I saw the quadrilogy in there. I got a Pledge, I got a La Historia, and I got Encore, and I got one last Allegiance left. And I'm like, I really want to sit back with this cigar, with these cigars, and I'm gonna go through them and I'm gonna smoke them again. I'm gonna do my comparison again. And now that I got some age on that Allegiance that has been sitting around for almost a year, it should be enough time for this cigar to have settled. So I don't have to worry about getting ammonia. I don't have to worry about, kind of getting that dry, astringent profile. And hopefully it's gonna be even better. And then this way I can kind of say, like, okay, I really hate this cigar or I really love it. Or I can get the opinion for myself, does it really fit in with this grouping? Is it a real quadrilogy? Because right now, like to me, it's kind of like Star Wars. It's like you got it's like La Historia for me is probably like what was the last Star Wars joint? The one where with the original trilogy, the one that had the Ewoks and all that kind of shit. Like it wasn't the best, but it was good, and it had some great moments in there where it's like you really appreciate like what this trilogy was all about. And then you got the original Star Wars, A New Hope, that's kind of like Encore, ironically. But for me, and this is my opinion, the Pledge is Empire Strikes Back, and it's like this is the pinnacle of this trilogy. This is what EP Carrillo did with the Pledge for me is like that's the top notch. Return of the Jedi. Thank you. My dyslexia always makes me want to say, Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith, and I didn't want to do that this time. Thank you for correcting me on that. But that's where I feel like La Historia is. And I feel like Empire Strikes Back is the pledge. And for me, the allegiance was like Phantom Menace. And I'm like, it doesn't fit. It I know it's supposed to be a part of this story that you're telling with this with this, Carrillo trilogy that you had going on, with this quadrilogy. But this cigar doesn't fit the story the same. I know it's supposed to, but it doesn't work. And maybe I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? This is really how I'm thinking about cigars, and I'm really trying to put it in this way. And I wonder if, like, when EP Carrillo is sitting back and he's doing this, I wonder if his brain is really thinking about it that way, right? When he blended that cigar, he's probably working. I know he was working with John Huber, and I know he was doing some stuff from the short run. And his daughter was just recently talking about releasing another cigar. I just saw that on Instagram the other day. So when you're working on all these other things, something in his brain made him say, this needs to go and match with this trilogy that I had before. This needs to be released so Cigar Aficionado can put this on the top list. This is a cigar that I have faith in, that when I release it, everybody's really gonna appreciate it, and it's gonna fit into the story the way and express what I'm trying to get across. And it didn't work for me like that. I don't know how you guys feel about that cigar. What are y'all opinions on the Allegiance? Have you had it? What did you think about it? What did you think about where it was placed on even Cigar Aficionados or Half Wheelers doing their consensus list? And I've been seeing it pop up. I know people are talking about it, but it didn't get the love nearly as much as what the Pledge or the Encore got. Right? But when he was blending that cigar and he was crafting it and he's putting his time and his effort into it, it meant something to him. I can't imagine that he just said, yo, just slap a band on this one, make it green instead of blue, make it, instead of, blue or purple or whatever, those colors were. He said that this means something to me. He couldn't have just said, just slap a label on it and just put it in with that group. It had to be a thought process in doing that. John said the Allegiance I enjoyed best of all. Really? Okay. And that I appreciate that. What was it about that cigar that stood out to you, that separated it from the other cigars to you? Because for me, I'm wondering if I got it too early. And when I did the best cigars and the worst cigars of 2023, I really felt bad about putting it on that worst cigars list. Like it was really a consternation for me. Like I really kind of sat back, like, do I want to do this? And you got to be careful when you're doing reviews in general, like especially like if you feel like people are looking forward to your reviews and they're looking forward to your opinions and they're looking forward to your influence on it. You got to have that level of integrity to be honest and really say how you really feel about it. But you don't want to disparage somebody, he felt it was balanced. Okay, bet. You don't want to, like that worst cigar list is a very it's a tightrope walk. It's a very dangerous tightrope walk. And doing reviews in general is a tightrope walk. Because Erykah Badu said, that she wants everybody to know that she's an artist and she's sensitive about her shit. And anybody that is a creator and an artist and a craftsman, you're sensitive about the work that you're putting out there. Enjoyable anytime. The Pledge was a much stronger cigar. It is, and you know what? That's a really important thing, John. That's a really important thing because when Matt and I go back and forth talking about cigars. We got a similar palate, but one thing about Matt is like he really isn't into the strength and pepper profile. That's really not his lane. But for me, I have my moments where I really enjoy a robust, darker, heavier, full body cigar. I felt like for me, with the pledge, I thought it was a strong cigar and it had that full bodiness to it, but it had enough sweetness to balance it out that it wasn't going to be overkill. And I thought he really hit a comfort zone with that cigar, and it reminded me a lot of the Melanio, and it reminded me a lot of Aging Room's Nicaragua. And in my brain, those cigars are family members to me, right? So now I kind of put the allegiance with the Wagashi that Saka just released. And I think what may have happened with me also is that I'm in this more medium to full body zone. Like I'm in I want those coffee flavors. I want that deep earth, but I also want it to be balanced with a sweetness that kind of makes it like when you're making your coffee, like you don't want it to be just black, but you don't want it to be like all cream either. So I'm trying to find that happy medium. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? Like I'm trying to get it to that sweet spot, and that I think that's why I've been so on the Cameroons lately. I've been so on Principle lately because I think they've been fitting that spot, and LFD has been kind of moving into that zone. And what's really cool from the speaking of Matt, he just smoked this super aged LFD series that has been aged like for who God knows how long that thing has been aged, right? And it hit the right spot for him. And he just recently got the El Pupo from AJ Fernandez, and he was terrified that El Pupo was going to be too peppery for him, but it hit that balance spot for him. And that's the thing that I was talking about. Like you want to be able to find that balance where okay, now I know what I'm getting into. And he also may be getting into a spot where he moved like I did from where I'm smoking like the 40-acre farm, and I'm smoking a lot of Fuentes, and I've been moving into more Olmecs and Don Durmas and Micaritas, and that's kind of where my lane has been. And part of what pushed me there was the pledge. So for me, when I got to that point where this is what I'm smoking lately, I think the Wagashi and the Allegiance maybe it was just too mild for where my palate is right now. Maybe I'm just not in a space where I would enjoy something that was that light. So maybe I got to kind of reverse course a little bit. Maybe I need to go back, but I can't really say that because man, I had the RS88, not the RS88, but I had the industry killer Lancero the other day, and I was talking to Innocent, and man, I really enjoyed that cigar, man. I really feel like man, that thing was hitting right. That thing was just like, man, it's money. It's late night, man. What are y'all doing, man? Y'all sitting in bed, or like are y'all like working a late shift and watching this? Because we got 9 people in here. I didn't expect to get that many people in here. But it's just me and John going back and forth right now. So like, what are y'all doing? Are y'all just listening, or are y'all enjoying a late night cigar with me? Or y'all at a point where y'all really can't talk? Because normally my chat is like going off right now. So I've been doing this freaking diatribe for the past hour, just kind of like free thought. Hopefully, everything that I was talking about was cohesive and it kind of made sense because I'm really just shooting the shit with y'all. Like, when I started this thing before everybody logged in, I was just saying that like I didn't even plan on anything. Night out watching TV. What's on TV, man? What are you watching right now? Uh, I finally got like I spent a couple days trying to set up my internet so I can so I can do some work, so I can study Japanese, so I can finally sit back and watch some TV when I have some downtime. But I haven't had any downtime, and I've been trying to find stuff that I could really like kick back and watch, so I'm not just listening to like podcasts and and just watching basketball because that's really been all that I've been able to do. NBA recap: my Warriors got to win tonight, man. So since you were an NBA guy too, this basketball season has been wow. This has been crazy. Like I probably got another 10, 15 minutes on this. This basketball season has been nuts, and with the firing of Milwaukee's coach, that had to be crazy. And for Milwaukee to get a win and to see like I don't know what's happening with that thing, man. That whole thing with Milwaukee has been crazy. I don't know what their leadership is doing. I don't know what the team is doing. To fire a first time coach, what do you say? Yes, they did. Heard Doc is the coach. Yeah, but Giannis was he just did his post game interview. I don't know if you had time to watch that. I don't know if they showed it on the recap, but he just did his post game interview, and he was saying they're just going with their interim coach right now. And he was saying that it wasn't confirmed that Doc was the head coach. What's super crazy about that, man, is CNN scooped Sham Charania and Wojnarowski. That's like CNN reporting that Doc got the job before the basketball guys did it. That in itself is crazy. That doesn't happen. When does that happen? That doesn't happen. And then, with my Warriors, man, these dudes haven't played basketball in like 2 weeks. I can't think of my man's name, but he was one of the coaches on the team that he passed away from a heart attack. And you could tell like this is the first time I've seen this where you could really see the team was mourning. And all the Slavic, European players was mourning this loss. And it's just kind of crazy how that happened. And for them to come out and get a win the way that they did tonight was kind of wow. You could see that that the rust was affecting them. You could see the heartbreak was affecting them. But for them to pull out the win, and for them to let Kuminga just get busy tonight. Kuminga was 11 for 11. Curry was hitting good shots. I gotta actually go back because I've only been catching bits and pieces because I was out on the go, man. Doing like all the stuff trying to get my house back in order. So I only caught bits and pieces of the game. So I need to go back and watch the recap on that too. But that's a crazy storyline. Then the other night when Embiid dropped 70. Yeah. That it was sad, man. It was super sad. But for Embiid dropped 70. What he got? 70 and 15? And I don't think he made a three-pointer. Yeah, rest in peace to him indeed, man. That, to kind of piggyback off of that, man, it's kind of cool when you see somebody that is like genuinely adored by their peers. Like he was adored by the coaches. He was adored by the European players. He was adored by the staff and by like just the whole team, and then like to have all of these Europeans in general that just love the dude, and like you don't always get that, and to have that juxtaposition to how he was treated, and how my man who was the who used to be the owner for the Bulls, when they booed him in front of his family, and this dude was cheered in front of his family. Like the way you treat people, man. Like your level of integrity as a person and how you are on an everyday basis is a powerful thing, man. when they were talking about, like, I was listening to a pod the other day, and they were talking about Coach. And matter of fact, it was Draymond Green's pod, and he was just kind of talking about how that affected him and how it affected the team. And he was saying, like, it's certain days when he comes into to practice, and they were like, yo, I don't know what Draymond is gonna be on today. I don't know what mood he's gonna be in. And he was talking with Clay, and Clay was saying, the same thing. And he was saying the same thing about Clay, like, yo, Clay might be on one today. He was saying Steve Kerr might be on one today. And he was saying, Coach, when he would come in, they knew what they were gonna get. That he ain't never switch up on them. And he was very matter of fact about what he was saying, but he was a good dude. So Dario Saric loved him. And, Dario had a really good press conference after that, too. Dario loved him. Luka loves him. Jokovic loves him. And it's just kind of funny, man, to see, like, that's something I take seriously as a person as well, too. And I feel like just doing the vintage cigar in general, I do smoke your best cigars, so, like, there are moments like this where you guys we could just have a conversation. And you guys can get a feel of who I am as a human being. And every day when I'm walking out in Japan and I'm trying to speak the language and I'm meeting the lady that's in the kombini and I'm just having a conversation with her, or when I go to the gym and I talk to the ladies at the front desk, I want them just to say, like, they don't know me personally, but I want to make a good impression, right? So if I go out here and I have a car accident and I'm no longer on this planet, whatever's left behind on the vintage cigar is genuinely going to be me. You know what I'm saying? And I want people to be able to respect my palate and respect my opinions, respect my point of view. And I want whatever legacy that's left behind, I wanted to mean something for my kids. I wanted to mean something for my mother. And, all the way down to the new wave cast. I want them to say, like, yo, Keelan ain't never switch up on us. And he always was down for us and was always down for people. I want that to matter. So, and I rest in peace to Coach M, man, because he really left that kind of mark, and that's kind of dope to be able to leave that behind. People remember the good you do, but he's on fire. 70, wow. Yep, dude. All right, so check it. So Embiid dropped 70, and I don't remember what he had at the half. It was like 43 or something like that. But Cat, he was playing for the Timberwolves, and he had like something crazy at the half too. I don't know if he had like 50 something points at the half or something like that. It was something ridiculous. And he had like 9 threes or something crazy. Like, he was on fire too. But his game didn't feel like it didn't feel like Embiid's. Like, it didn't have the same impact. And I think, what did he end with, like 63 or something like that? It was a big number. And it was impressive for two big men to hit, that 60, 70 point mark on the same night. But the pocket that Embiid was in, you can't compare the two games. You can't compare them. So then I was looking at the stat that was talking about all the cats that had 70-point games, from Donovan Mitchell to Book and Damian. And when I look at their stats that they had and all the different people that, and how they got it, most of them cats had like 20-something free throws. And free throws is a part of the game. You got to be able to hit your free throws. That's important. And you got to be able to get fouled and get your free throws and all that. But when Dame hit his 70, I think he had 71, that dude did it on 14 free throws, y'all. I think he was like 14 for 14. That's remarkable. And I think when Donovan Mitchell did it, he got like 71, and he had like 11 assists on top of that. That's crazy. That's a crazy stat. And Embiid did it, getting 70 and 15. I can't put Cat in that same category, man. I think who was it? I think Jeff Teague was talking about him recently, and he was saying how nice Cat was, and people don't really understand how nice Cat is, and he's one of the best players in the league, and people just don't understand it. But when you really think about it, man, it's like you gotta have that dog in you too. And I think Cat lacks that. Cat will have nights where he can go off and he can, hit 9 threes, but it's something about his game that's missing. And for him to get into the fourth quarter, I think he only had like 2 points in the fourth. It was something. I'm doing this off the top of my head, so bear with me. But I think he was doing it where he had like 14 in the first, and then he had like, I don't know, maybe it was like 12 or 14 or something like that in the second, and then he had a crazy third quarter too, and then he just dropped off at the end. It's like you can't do that in the fourth quarter, man. You can't die like that in the fourth quarter. Like you supposed to. Oh yeah, and he's averaging 30. Yeah, that's crazy. You Sis up in here, man. What up, homie? Just put on a La Aroma de Cuba, Mi Amor. I think I've had that cigar once. And a Gloria de Cubana. Wasn't really impressed with each. Yeah, I was gonna say that I wasn't really feeling that La Aroma, man. So I picked up. Sorry, I can barely see this. Picked up the LFD Triple Ligero 2. Just waiting to try that. That Triple Ligero is money, man. And I was just talking earlier. I don't know if you were in here for that, but I was talking about LFD, and I was talking to the group chat, the New Wave group chat, about LFD, how like they're really underrated and they're understated. Now I know people got respect for LFD, but that was a nice smoke ring. Y'all see that? But I really feel like people got to put more respect on LFD, just as far as their construction, their consistency, and their balance of flavors. I think you're really gonna dig that Double E Hero, man. Yeah, dude, Christian, like you got to be able to have that dog in you to have that kill switch, and I don't think Cat has that. And I think that was the whole thing behind what made Butler go off on him and Wiggins. And like Wiggins, the same thing. Like the Warriors wouldn't have got that 22 championship without Wiggins. Now that the main reason why that we got that championship with the Warriors is because Steph was just blacked out that season. Steph went just full Steph. But even when you were a great scorer and you were a great leader like Steph or like Jordan, you can even mention Kobe and Jokic, whomever. You gotta have your number two player that's gonna be able to go off and be that person. But you also gotta have that person that's in the fourth quarter is gonna be your dog. The reason why I never feel like the Timberwolves were ever gonna be able to get over that hump because Cat never he didn't have that dog in him. And I think that's why, you know, um, I think that's why old boy went off on him like that. And you can see Wiggins, whatever happened to him outside of the game, he just reverted back to just being a beta. And I hate using that term, but you gotta have that kill switch, man. And you gotta be able to play like that consistently. And them boys don't have it. And I think the only person that does is Anthony Edwards. And I'm waiting to see him make even a greater jump than he did this year. I'm waiting to see him get to that point. It's like, yo, this is my team. Cat, you gonna be number two. I need you to have those nights when you can go for 50 or you can go for 20 and 30 and do it consistently and get, multiple rebounds and hit your threes, stretch the floor. But I'm gonna be the dog tonight because you not doing that. So it's up to me to go out here and do this on a regular basis. You feel me? And I think everybody was expecting for the Warriors, for Wiggins to be able to do that again, and I just don't think he got it in him. And I don't think Steph is going to be able to maintain that forever. He's going to need somebody to be the number 2 on his team. When the playoffs get started, Steph is going to black out again. You can guarantee that. You know it's going to happen. But the lack of consistency from Clay and Dre and Wiggins, they're not going to win a championship again unless they can get that back. And I don't know. Like, I'm kind of worried. I don't know how that's going to happen. Because everybody that's like, Jamal Murray and Jokic going to go crazy. And they're going to work together and they're going to play consistently. And I feel the same way about Boston right now. I don't really feel that way with Milwaukee. I know Giannis has that in him, but I need Damian Lillard to have that on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Dame time is gonna come, but I also need him to feel like he's gonna be a killer in the fourth. I feel like Maxey has that with Joel Embiid. I feel like they're gonna be dangerous because they got that, and the way Embiid is playing right now, averaging 30, the dude is a monster. Like he's impossible to stop. And those are the teams are the ones you got to be scared of. I don't really fear the Mavs like that because I don't feel like when you get to the postseason and they get into that half court offense, I know that Kyrie is a killer, and I know that Luka is a killer, but they always find a way to lose. They always find a way not to pull it out when it's necessary. But I don't know. How y'all feeling, man? Y'all want to keep rolling? I know it's late where y'all are. I'm at the nub on this one. I could either go down there and get a Maduro, or I could call this a shot at an hour and 12 minutes. I'm gonna leave this up to y'all. I'm gonna put it in y'all hands because I got some shit that I could do when I go downstairs. I still got stuff to do in this house. I still got rooms to rearrange. I still got books and shit to put up. I still got to finish up my office. I got some studying to do for Japanese. I got some shit that I got to do. But while I got a moment, all right, let me see what Daniel's saying. Needs your help. My best friend is turning 50 years old. His go-to stick is a Perdomo 10-year Connecticut, which is a really, really, really good cigar. Any recommendations that can fit that profile? Yeah. Don Pepin Garcia has a Cuban classic. That's a really affordable cigar that will fit that, and it's kind of in the same pocket as that Perdomo 10th anniversary. I would go with the Kintsugi from Alec and Bradley. The Warhawk, I think that's Henry Clay. And the Sanj Patel's Connecticut is Money. It fits in that same profile. And Hoya de Nicaragua, their Connecticut, the Antonio CT. That's off the top of my head. If you want to go a little bit more high end, I would get him the Potero Terry Blanche. I think with any of those, he will get those and fall in love with them. I think like they're absolute money. They're really, really good Connecticut's. And I think that's something like you can get them all of those and not spend a shit ton of money, except for the Potoro. You're going to spend a little bit for that. But I think it would be well worth it. And that'll be a dope way for him to celebrate his 50th. And happy birthday to him. You know, show him love from the Vintage Cigar, man. You know, make it a half century is a beautiful place to be. And we don't all get to make it to that point, man. So I hope he enjoys those. I hope that kind of helps out, man, and will kind of like fill in the gap. I love that Perdomo myself, man. That 10th anniversary is money. It's really good and it burns really well. I spoke really highly about that cigar for quite some time. Just listening, brother, but can't sleep. Man, I'm an insomniac. I feel you on that. Damn headache. I go through that too for my sinuses. I feel you. I saw you on a live, and I agree with you on the Sanj RS88 Cameroon is good. And for myself, it's hard to tell the RS88 Cameroon from the Habano. Man, it gets me all the time, and I get so frustrated with that shit, man. And because like when I was talking about earlier, when you know, just kind of when you're in your pocket and you're in your mood for a particular type of cigar, and you want a particular profile, it's really frustrating when you like I can taste that Cameroon, and that's what I want on my palate, and then you get that spicy ass Habano, and it's just like fuck, that's a good cigar, but that's not what I want right now. You dig? You know, and that it can kind of kill your vibe a little bit. And you know, I got enough cigars, and but I don't want to waste the cigar once I light it up. You know what I'm saying? The only time for me is like if I put out a cigar, it's usually like I gotta really be like I really did not want this cigar, or this cigar was absolute trash. Those are usually the only times, and it's usually only for the latter, where I'm just like I really don't want this cigar. Like I gotta put this shit out. I'm just not here for it. And I don't know. So I don't know. Innocent said that he got the words to Sanj. And I know Sanj is calling me all the motherfuckers. This motherfucker telling me how to do my cigar. I know he was probably giving me some shit, but I got love for that man. And I was just talking to the new wave cats about this. Like a major part of the reason why I got out of the game of doing reviews. I hated getting that label that like I was a shield for anybody or I was in somebody's pocket. But one thing about Sanj, man, is like the way we connected with Sanj was just purely organic. You know, we were trying the cigars, and as a group, we were just kind of talking about it in general, and everybody was just kind of like, "Yo, these cigars are damn good." And around the same time, somebody was like talking to us like, "Yo, why y'all reviewing all the same cigars?" That wasn't intentional. We were just following. We were on the wave of what cigars were out there, and we were trying the cigars that were out there, and we were just getting the new wave lives just started. We were just doing it because we just wanted to hang out with each other and talk cigars and nerd out. And it just so happened it was like, yo, we got a chance to get Sanj on the show. We put him on the show. Sanj did what Sanj does. He talked a lot of shit. He bragged about his cigars. He sent us out some cigars. The same thing that Jamon did with Definition. Same thing that JC Newman did, sending us out, you know, the Angel Cuestas. And it just so happened that way. And we just developed a rapport with Sanj Patel because we really liked his cigars. We really liked the way he was doing it. And he liked our perspective. Nothing in that was like, hey, I need you guys to do this. Or, you know, I'm going to send you cigars at this time so you guys can promote my... It had nothing to do with that. It was really about us really appreciating what he was doing. And you guys heard me talk about this before. My favorite thing from blenders is when you develop a portfolio that I can fall in love with. When you develop enough, like the EP Carrillo line, I was loving everything about that. Nick Perdomo's line, that the 10th anniversaries, I love those cigars. I loved what he was doing, like that whole. I haven't had the 30th yet. I got to get that. I heard good things about it. I love what he was doing. Nick Melillo has been on an absolute tear as far as just like the cigars that he was putting out. I wasn't in love with the Matepa, but I think this is out. But I did love everything that he's been doing lately. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you're putting out a line of cigars like that, if I have a platform, that's what I'm gonna talk about. That's what I'm gonna do. And Saka had his moments where like him and David Lafferty, like, I was able to develop somewhat of a rapport for that. To have somebody come in and try to throw a wrench in that and try to, take take that rapport away, it bothered me. But at the same time, that never happened on the other end with Sanj Patel. It just so happens that for him to be able to like, if I did a live on Instagram, he just popped up one day. I'm chopping up with Innocent. I brought Innocent on the show, and Sanj just came by and just like, "Hey brother, what's going on, man? How you doing? Like, how's your fam? That like, just man to man, just talking to him." And to be able to like every now and then, like he hit me up the other day, we were just having a conversation, and he just DM me out of the blue, the same way that that I talked to some of you guys, and that was just kind of cool for him to just say, "Yo, I'm just having a conversation with you." That's a cool thing. He invited me out to a shop. Look, like, "Yo, whenever you come back to the States, you in Jersey, come through. I got some cool stuff for you to try out." And most of the stuff that he's like trying to introduce me to, it's not even his own line of cigars. It's just like, "Yo, I got this cigar that I've been aging and just down here for probably a decade. I think you will love the cigar. I think I respect your palate enough that you will be able to appreciate it." That's some cool shit, man. That like that's just me. The same thing that I was talking about earlier, just being able to chop it up with people and to have like a good conversation and enjoy cigars and to be able to nerd out over cigars like that. That's everything. Just imagine like being able to do that with like a Nick Melillo or a John Huber or whomever, Eladio Diaz, and just like, yo, just to be able to just sit down and have a conversation. I don't get to go out to PCA and TPE and do all that. So that's just kind of cool for me just to be able to have that kind of a vibe, man, and somebody that I appreciate. Uh, Fabian said, "I just went to Sanj Patel's shop yesterday and bought a bunch of industry killers." You winning. And everybody, my man Mentos just told me the other day he was in there too, and I bet they opened the doors and like, "Hey, come in, chill, have a good time, smoke some good cigars," and it was nothing to it. He was just genuine. Excuse me. You got like Matty Rock, all those people in there, Innocent, like those dudes are mad cool. They just cool people, and you gotta appreciate that, man. Like that's what this whole thing is supposed to be all about. Just being able to just hop on and or just sit down in some place, talk basketball like we was just doing, talk music, and just have a good time. Gunlover067 said, like, "I like your channel, brother. You keep it real. Have a good night." You have a good night too, man. Thank you for joining in, man. Thank you for just kicking it with me. I know it's late night for y'all, man, and thank you for the love, man. I appreciate that, man. I like having everybody from different walks of life and different backgrounds, man, just to sit here and chop it up with me for an hour and some change, man. That's love. It means a lot, and I hope that when I'm talking this like just off the top and just shooting the shit and just smoking my best shit, man. And I hope you guys are smoking really good, really enjoying your cigars, man. It's a good conversation. I hope And honestly, man, who was that, man? That said that he was up late because of the headaches, man. I go through that all the time too. I hope I'm making the night a little bit more comfortable for you, man. So you can just have some some noise in the background and just something to kind of help you get through the night. I I don't know if y'all was like keeping up with some of the last lives and stuff. You saw that I still had a cough, man. When I was staying in that hotel, I was in that hotel room for 3 months, and people were bringing in their dogs, and just all the dust, just being in the hotel. I got sick as shit, dude. My allergies fucked me up. Fractal, what up, man? And like I was struggling, dog. Like I couldn't breathe at night. My sinuses getting to me. I was having headaches every night. I'm coughing in the middle of the night. I had to sit in the shower just with the steam going just so I could get to bed at night. And that went on for almost 2.5 months. I went on that trip through Japan. I went to Fukuoka, Osaka, Kyoto, all the way up to Tokyo and back. And that whole time I was like, I couldn't sleep. It was just struggling and just trying to get to sleep every night, man. And so I know what that feels like. And just being an insomniac in general, that's rough, man. So usually when I'm trying to get down like that, I'm putting on a podcast. It's usually like true crime or some basketball shit or some science type stuff, and I usually just have that noise in the background. Honestly, that's what this show is supposed to be. It's supposed to be that thing where like and hopefully my podcast, when I get that rolling, hopefully that's what that's gonna be as well. You know, like people can just sit back and just listen to the podcast, and I just shoot the breeze about cigars and what's going on new with cigars, what I'm smoking on. That whole diatribe that I just went on earlier when I was talking about just kind of finding my zone and finding my pocket and finding cigars that I like and helping my man out for his 50th. That's what I want the podcast to be. I want to be able to go on and talk about Perdomo. I want to be able to talk about what's the new releases. I want to be able to talk about the cigars that I've been enjoying and just the mood. And hopefully I'll be able to set a mood for y'all to really like get into what's really been kind of keeping me going and what I've been enjoying. So the true crime, the one that I just recently been listening to, I just kind of picked some honestly because it just has to do with whatever the topic is. So I've been listening to what is the girl call her? It used to be like 25 to Life, but I think she rebranded and she's changed it to like serialistly. It's a weird name because Serial was like really popular for a minute, and I think she changed it to serialistly. So she's been talking about recently. She was talking about Chris Watts. I don't know if you know that story. The dude that he he killed his wife and his two babies, which was nuts. It's like an insane thing for me. Like having three kids, and two that are close in age, just like his daughters were. Um, my youngest daughter and my son are only a year and a half apart. So to think about like when they were babies, man, just to take them off of this planet is crazy to me. But what she's recently been talking about is I can't think of the girl's name, but Chris Watts had a girlfriend. He had a mistress on his side, and she, I think she was involved with it. So they've been talking about the girlfriend just showed me that last night. So it's definitely that exact podcast. Word. So she was talking about like the mistress recently, man, and it's been a lot of podcasts talking about the possibility that she was involved with the whole crime and just listening to the circumstantial evidence behind it. I really think she had something to do with it, man. Because she was deleting all of her stuff. She didn't want to give up her phone. Her phone pinged, the same morning that in the same area where the crime happened and all that kind of stuff. That girl is creepy as hell, man. I think she has something to do with it. So I've been listening to that a lot. Um, what's the what's the guy's name, man? He's a little skinny dude, and he got like a Scottish accent, or he got like a Eastern European accent, and I can't think of the name of his show right now, but he's really dope, and I really like his show too. I've been listening to him a lot, so that's it's a weird thing, man, because it's kind of morbid to listen to a lot of that stuff a lot, man. Dude was weird. It's kind of morbid to listen to that kind of stuff a lot, but at the same time, I'm really into psychology and just to understand what makes people tick and what makes people do the stuff that they've been doing. There's another guy recently that just released a podcast about the John Wayne Gacy tapes, and his dad was John Wayne Gacy's attorney, and so he had his dad just gifted him a whole bunch of tapes that nobody else had. So he's been slowly releasing those tapes and talking about like when John Wayne Gacy was actually confessing, because initially John Wayne Gacy was like, man, I ain't had nothing to do with this. I don't know why, like I'm not guilty. And then he was like, nah, I did it, and this is how I did it. And then when he was trying to get off the death penalty, he started lying again. He was like, yo, I'm not doing it. This had nothing to do with me. And I just, the whole thing behind the way John Wayne Gacy thinks, it's just disturbing, man. Like that whole killer clown thing, and just the fact that he's such a pathological liar. Like he fascinates me, um, the dude that they just caught recently. What's the guy that they just caught? The Long Island serial killer cat. He fascinates me too. So I'm waiting to see what's gonna come out with him. So yeah, so like I listen to a lot of that kind of stuff, man. I just like to see like what people's psyches are like. There's this guy that does shorts of eating death row inmates final meal requests. Yo, Christian, if you get a moment, man, send that to me in an email or a DM or at the Vintage Cigar on Instagram. It's probably the best place to hit me. I want to see that, man. I'm kind of curious about that. That once again, that kind of thing on rating. Oh, okay, rating the death row inmates. I want to see that. Whatever that is, I want to see it. That kind of thing fascinates me, man. So Gacy is a wild dude, man. Gacy, sick in the head is like an understatement, man. But like when you listen to the tapes, and he was talking about like all the stuff that his father sent him through, and he was talking about how like he was dealing with like his homosexuality, but he didn't want to associate with that, so he created a different personality, and he was trying to disassociate. And he was saying how like he was interested in men, but it was like only a fun thing, but he was really not gay. But it kind of comes across like the reason why he was killing these young boys is because he was like trying to get back at his dad, and that's where his anger was like trying to hide his sexuality, but at the same time like he was so angry at himself for being gay, and he was so angry at how his dad treated him that like he started taking it out on these kids. It could have been that, or he could have just been so mentally disturbed that he was just a killer clown. And that in itself is like what makes a human being snap to the point where you don't have any kind of like compassion for another life. To be able to fill your crawl space under your home with young people's lives, people that you work with, people that you saw on a daily basis, I can't fathom hurting other people. Like that to me is like, how? Why? Let alone being able to kill your own wife and kids just so you can escape with some chick is nuts. But to be able to do that with, and this dude was smart enough to create his own business and to be a bustling and well-to-do businessman. But the main reason why you created this job and to work that hard was so that you could stalk and get these other people so you can snuff them and take them out. That is nuts, yo. Like that's wow to me. Like you created something good where you're helping other people, where you're a clown and you're entertaining all these kids, and you're working in this industry and you got all these people looking up to you, and he's working in politics, but all of that is just so that it could fuel this hunger that he had to assassinate other people. What makes you go there? What like I don't know, man. That kind of thing is something that intrigues me, man. Like to really get and for him to have the audacity to call like Jeffrey Dahmer insane, and he was like, oh man, that dude was a horrible person. I would kill him. Like he disassociated enough, and he was like, yo, don't compare me to all these other guys. He was like, I hate when people compare me to the Jeffrey Dahmers and the other people. I'm not like them. How are you not like them? You're exactly like them. He fascinates me, man, and because once everything comes out about the Long Island serial killer, what's his name, Hurman, and then the other dude, the Golden State Killer. That dude is fascinating too. BTK was fascinating because these dudes was like, they literally lived double lives, and they were literally walking around, like Dennis Rader was a deacon at a church, and he was a well-loved deacon at the church, and to be able to walk around for that many years and nobody know that he was just taking people out in his neighborhood, that's crazy. And the Golden State Killer, I lived in Fresno for a while, and I was a butcher down in Visalia. And this dude was so prolific that he was the Visalia ransacker, the original Night Stalker, and the Golden State Killer. One man was able to create that many personas, and to be what he was also, they gave him a rapist name too. That to be able to violate 150 people, 150, and to be able to walk around for decades after that. And my wife is from Sacramento, and she lived in a neighborhood not far away from where he lived. And to be able to like, yo, you know, you guys are these people were around in Sacramento while he was doing all this. The sun is going down, man. Like, let me let y'all see the sunset real quick. Look at that shit. So I'm about to get out of here, man. But let me see the last thing that's going here. Let me see this last comment. Yeah, they all had double lives. Gacy was involved in politics as well. Yeah, dude, he was a politician. He had a construction business, and he was a clown. And they were saying like how, you know, he was well respected in the neighborhood. You know, they was like when he would go into bars, it was like cheers. They would walk, hey, John, everybody, John's here. Like he was the life of the party. And you know, all these people had these different interviews and whatnot. And when they were talking about it, it was like, man, I never would have guessed it was him, man. I had fun, you know, just hanging out with him. Same thing as what's the real tall dude that he was the co-ed killer. Uh Edmund Kemper. And you know, he used to hang around with the police officers, and they called him Big Ed. And you know, they would just kind of chill and hang out with him. I think I just got your message, man. Shouts out to you for sending that to me. And you know, they were calling him Big Ed, and he was listening around, you know, to them, you know, talk about the co-ed killer while he was there the whole time. He was friends with him. That's nuts. So you think about it, man. When you walk around every day, you go into your grocery store, or you got a coworker, you know, and it could be the same person. When I lived in Virginia, I lived in Hampton, Virginia, and I was a kid. This is in the early '80s. My mom used to, you know, let me walk to this grocery store when I was like 4 or 5 years old. She would let me walk to the grocery store, and you know, I would go get cinnamon buns, or I would go get bread for her, and you know, stuff like that, and come back home. And there was a serial killer that was killing women in my neighborhood, and I didn't even realize until probably like what, maybe a year or two ago. I just found out about this cat. He was a serial killer that was in my neighborhood at that time, and it's just wild to me that like he was there. And then I don't know how much you guys know about Hampton Roads, Virginia. There's the Colonial Parkway killer. They just got some new evidence on this cat. He was out there just taking out people in you know, in a place that we drove on a regular basis. Like you just walking around and these people are out here on a regular basis. If you know, you know, said I love serial killer documentaries. Those people are so fascinating, crazy how they have the ability to hide in plain sight. And that's what's the most fascinating thing about it, dude. It's like these people are in your neighborhood. They are right around you. And, you know, it can happen at any point in time, man. It's just, you know, it's a wild thing, man. You know, I'm going to call it a night. Y'all see the sun is going down. I'm losing my light out here. It's going to get dark. Yeah. The Colonial Parkway cat it's a well-known one, and they've just been talking about him recently because they found some new evidence on that, and they think they got him. They think they got who he is. I saw a picture of it the other day. You know, they haven't finalized it or anything like that, but yeah, man, that and all of that was happening like around my way. So anyway, y'all, thank y'all for hanging out with me for over an hour, man. Thanks for, you know, smoking a cigar with me, just hanging out with me overnight. I hope y'all feel better. If you weren't feeling well tonight, hope y'all have a great night. I'm gonna be back again soon. I might come back on the weekend, and you know, when there's more people that can just chill, I got some really good cigars that I want to smoke. Y'all are the best, man. To the next episode, indeed. Y'all stay up. Daniel, man, I hope I helped out with the homie, man. And, you know, shoot me a message to let me know if you need me to, you know, send some more some more ideas as far as Connecticut's. I'll think on it, and I'll see some more really good ones. But I think those should like hold you down. Who was that? Around my way in New York was a serial killer, Nathan White. I gotta look him up in just a moment. So I'll check that out, Fabian. Hey, y'all be easy, man. I'm gonna get up out of here. Y'all stay cool until the next episode. Keep smoking. Peace. I can never close out this motherfucker. Where's my X, yo? Boom, they switched it on me. It's on the other side now. Dang.